At the 32nd National PR Congress, pressing issues such as authenticity in the digital age, the role of artificial intelligence, and how trust and engagement are being reshaped in modern communication took the center stage. With the theme Plot Twist, the Congress tackled how credibility and brand reputation are critical. These discussions resonate far beyond the PR industry. They directly impact the way companies build relationships with customers, investors, and the public.
You mentioned how PR evolved already. In a nutshell ba? Di ba parang before it used to be just simple press releases, but this time, it's really something different.
Yes. Number one, there's a challenge of AI. Diba? How AI is used now for information dissemination, as a platform, as a source of news for everybody. So the challenge for PR and communicators is really to be able to teach people, to educate people, how to discern whether that AI-generated content is truth or not. That's one. And then, of course, there's always the issue of trust. The role of PR practitioners is, of course, building communities and then shaping the stories and making sure that people receive the right information. Diba? So there is always trust in the information landscape. For example, it's very important to create that kind of stakeholder trust at any point in the business operation. You have to build that trust among your stakeholders.
Can you cite an example where that trust can possibly be earned, especially amongst the stakeholders?
That's why that's why very important to share your positive stories even before a crisis strikes. For example, you have already created that sphere of trust among your stakeholders who can always vet for the good that you do for the community. So that's number one. Number two is that you always have to be ready. So even before a situation arises wherein you'll be put in a possibly compromised situation, there are already people, you already have your stakeholders vetting that you're doing good for the community, that can vet for your reputation. And here at the PR Congress, we'll be introducing a reputation stability benchmark. It's a pioneer in the industry right now, wherein people will be able to score themselves in terms of gauging your reputation, which we very well know, reputation is how people look at you. Diba? It's the reputation stability benchmark tool, and it talks about how companies, how businesses should be able to adapt to the times, because there are so many elements of communications. We are done with just the traditional media or legacy media. The speed of information is so fast that you have to be always 2 steps ahead of it.
The role of PR has already evolved. So how does PR now interface, with the different platforms that we have now, and how important it is? And I also learned earlier, from the other speakers, that even PR practitioners can do advertising, can do brand management. Paano yun? Hindi ba parang nawawala na daw yung distinction, how you distinguish one area from the other?
Well, yeah, that's true. There's what they call the blurring of lines across platforms. And also, there's a need to really understand how micro-targeting is becoming a trend because of the different generations that we need to talk to. You have on one end Gen Alpha and Gen Z, who are all digital natives, but you still need to be relevant to the boomers and the Gen X, who are a mix of traditional and digital migrants. So it's really a challenge, and also I think an opportunity for PR marketers and practitioners, as well as media owners, to really adapt and transform given this paradox of an environment that we are in.
What's your take on the measurement of reputation and for me naman, authenticity of messages? Kasi siyempre at the end, it's always us, the consumers of media and the users of media who will consume, that information.
Well, for the first part, it's the measurement. So long as it's grounded on credible methodology and talks to the right consumers or the right target markets, I think it's a relevant development. On the other hand, we also need to be very wary that the advent of technology like AI needs to be balanced with what you mentioned, authenticity. So without authenticity at the core, any technological development will I think fail at the end of it. So everything goes back to the consumer and how we understand and relate to the consumers at the end of the day.
What inspired you to come up with, this theme? Where is the inspiration coming from as far as plot twist is concerned?
I personally crafted the theme line, so this was very relevant to me and the people around me. So all I really needed to do was to talk to my friends who are PR professionals themselves, people in my office, and ask them, what do you feel about our practice today? And that was a resonant theme. So people were always saying that, as just when you thought you've already mastered your craft in PR and communication, you realize that you don't really know it as much as you should, because there are new things happening. Culture is changing, values are changing, technology is changing as well, and we've got to update ourselves soonest so that we are able to practice alongside the changes that are happening around us.
What specific trainings or skills or techniques should be learned or relearned?
Ang basic is communication. You ought to be able to express yourselves with the right messaging tools. But apart from that, you also need to be abreast with all the other tools that you encounter as a practitioner. You ought to understand data and be able to use data to shape the stories that you want to tell. You've got to know or understand digital media, pati yung pag-boost ng mga posts sa Facebook or analytics with regard to social media and social listening. These were tools that were not available to us before, di ba? But now, because of technology, we ought to understand those tools and use that the best that we can to be able to shape stories and shape reputations and shape perceptions.
How do we now sense the authenticity of all these messages coming from, the sector that you represent now?
Ang hirap, It's so difficult these days, but so long as the PR practitioner is true to his or her code of ethics as a PR professional, we should be good. We are all attempting to do or to use communication for good, to use communication to create a better society. So long as hindi tayo lumihis sa role na yun, so long as we're steadfast on the journey towards the truth, then all should be good. So as PR practitioners, actually, even any citizen for that matter, we ought to be fighting for that. We ought to be fighting for a world where truth exists and that citizens are not fooled by fakery. So bantayan natin yan. Yan ang role natin bilang communicators.
Authenticity and trust remain the strongest currencies in business communication, even as AI and big data continue to change the landscape. For entrepreneurs and corporations alike, the challenge is not just adopting technology, but ensuring that human values and transparency remain at the core of every message. Truly, the insights shared here remind us that public relations is not just about image. It's about integrity, strategy, and the future of meaningful connections.
Mga Kanet 25, this is Cesar Vallejos of Open for Business. For more updates, just click the subscribe button and follow us on Net25 social media pages at Net25 TV and at Net25 Entertainment Facebook pages.